The family drama involving David and Victoria Beckham captivates a generation that isn't scared to go no contact. This week, Brooklyn Peltz Beckham dominated the internet for a few hours, giving the impression that the world and all of its tragedies had stopped. Following the release of 6 slides on his Instagram stories, the eldest child of David and Victoria Beckham accused his well-known parents of fabricating stories about him, depicting inauthentic relationships on social media, and attempting to sabotage his wedding to his wife, Nicola Peltz. People devoured every morsel. "I do not want to reconcile with my family," Peltz Beckham said at the beginning of his diatribe. Peltz Beckham then entered the passionate discourse that shook Gen Z and their Gen X and Boomer parents, even if he didn't use the word himself, abandoning those family members who were thought to be too toxic and unchangeable or going no contact. Going no contact is a topic of discussion on TikTok and in private discussions. On the one hand, people who decide to end relationships are frequently praised by their peers for prioritizing themselves over the circumstances that caused the breakup. Conversely, there are parents who have been exiled by their kids, some of whom are confused, and others are telling their side of the story in their own influencer lane. Carl Pilavar, a human development professor at Cornell and the author of the book Fault Lines, Fractured Families, and How to Mend Them, told CNN that while social media has contributed to a greater awareness of adult children losing contact, there's no concrete evidence to support this claim. In 2020, Pilamer stated to the Cornell Chronicle that he found that 27% of Americans 18 and older had cut off contact with a family member, most of whom reported that they were upset by such a rift. He now observes that younger people, particularly members of Generation Z, are getting more support on social media when they choose to separate from their families, despite the fact that their parents find it difficult to comprehend the terms their children are using to explain why this is occurring, such as gaslighting and narcissistic parenting. Pilamer stated, "First, social media encouragement has become more acceptable. Secondly, there appears to be a discrepancy between the expectations of some young people regarding the parent-child relationship and their parents' perception of what they were doing." He says that younger generations have less of a feeling that "I will live with this relationship if it isn't fulfilling no matter what," so adult children no longer need to maintain ties to their family because blood is thicker than water. Regarding the Beckhams, the teacher said he was reminded of a discussion he had about managing family connections on social media during an episode of the Sibling Rivalry podcast, which is hosted by famous siblings Kate and Oliver Hudson. He stated, "This is not a good way to handle estrangements because it draws an incredibly powerful line in the sand when you out the entire relationship. Because those things are eternal, it is very difficult." The couple appeared to be living in a dream world from the moment football player David Beckham fell in love with then Spice Girls vocalist Victoria Adams at a soccer match in 1997. Their love story revolved around their firstborn. He was the 4-month-old ring bearer at their parents' 1999 wedding at Luddlestrown Castle in Dublin, Ireland. His name comes from the New York City borough where they found out they were expecting him. Brooklyn Peltz Beckham seems to put a lot of effort in identifying his specialty as he got older. He has worked as a photographer, model, barista, and wannabe chef with his own line of spicy sauces. The famous offspring seemed to be looking for his place in a world that had known about him since birth. At the age of 18, he addressed the topic in his 2017 book, What I See, which featured his photographs. "Being in the spotlight hasn't really harmed me, I think," he allegedly remarked. "As a teenager, I obviously need to be more conscious that someone might be taking pictures of me without my knowledge." In the 2023 Netflix documentary series Beckham, his father also mentioned it, becoming upset at one point when discussing his 4 kids. The elder Beckham stated, "We've tried to give our kids the most normal upbringing possible, but your mother was Posh Spice and your father was the captain of England." The family also has a daughter named Harper and sons named Romeo and Cruz. He went on, and they could be little shits, and they're not, and for that reason, I'm really proud of my kids. This week, the public's perspective changed after Peltz Beckham criticized his parents' performative social media posts on Instagram, claiming that the facade has been a fixture of the life I was born into. Bubbles burst. Tales of conflict between the Beckhams and their oldest child and his wife were previously limited to the pages of tabloids and social media. Shortly after Beckham, 26, married Peltz, 31, in a ceremony in Palm Beach in April 2022, rumors started to circulate. The bride wore a Valentino couture dress, not one created by her soon-to-be mother-in-law, a fashion magnate. The newest Beckham family member denied being at conflict with her in-laws in an interview with the Sunday Times in October 2022. I don't know why they say feud. I mean, maybe they saw something and now they're calling it a feud. No family is perfect, she told the newspaper. This week, Brooklyn Peltz Beckham posted a slew of claims against his family, demonstrating how far from perfect he is. For the first time in my life, I'm advocating for myself, Peltz Beckham wrote. It was a direct approach from a young man who, in the many people's eyes, has had an easy life from the start. But the public's interest was piqued by his perceived good life, serving as a sobering reminder that a family breakup can still be devastating, even in the spotlight.